This is going to be your scalp treatment. No other level 1 has learned scalp treatment. This is the first year that we're doing it. I added it into our curriculum. You guys will be turning this in. It is due in 3 days, so this will be due on Friday for you, okay? However, if you do not have your shampoos done or your shampoo test done, you want to hurry up and try to get that finished to get those grades in. Those have to be done in front of myself or Miss S to get graded for the shampoo test. You will use either, you could use your shampoo test if you want as a scalp treatment. The scalp treatment should take about 30 to 45 minutes from start to finish. So it is not something that you're going to be able to do very quickly. It is something that you are going to have to take your time to do. I'm going to go over all the supplies. I'm going to go over all the steps. So if you have any questions, hold off till the end. Okay? So that I did print a scalp treatment. I broke it down into tiny, 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 tiny parts for you because there are a lot of steps. And I don't want you guys to forget any of the steps. These are up and coming right now. There's a lot of head spas that are opening up. There's a new one opening up in Murraysville. They're charging for a 20-minute head massage and scalp treatment. They are charging $139. And then you add an additional $10 to $20 depending on your length and $10 to $20 depending on the thickness of your hair. So one treatment, you could make over $150. If you own your own salon, obviously you would make that minus your overhead. If you're in a commission salon, you would get a percentage of that. So these are the steps. We will go over all of them. But first, you guys, I'm going to go over all the tools that you will need for a scalp treatment. You will use a human person. We are not doing scalp treatments on mannequins. If you cannot get a scalp treatment because you have braids, extensions, any type of scalp disorder, you still have to give one to somebody. Okay, so you're still responsible to complete the service. The first thing you guys are going to need is going to be your standard comb. Is anybody catching that we basically use a standard comb for pretty much everything so far? Yeah. Okay, you're going to use a wide tooth comb. So we can see what our wide tooth comb looks like. So we have standard comb and wide tooth comb. You're going to use a vent brush. You can use a teasing brush or a boar bristle, which is a little bit wider than this. You're going to need butterfly clips. I would say 4 to 6 in case you drop a few. You're going to need a towel and a cape because you are going to drape your client just like it would be a shampoo service. So the towel, the cape, and then another towel. You will use the scalp treatment. However, this will be handed out by myself or Miss S. This small container is almost $60 for this little container. Do you see why you charge a certain amount so that you're making money? You're not going to charge $20 or $40 for a scalp treatment when your product costs $60. Yes, you get multiple uses. However, you want to make sure you are charging accordingly. So this we will hand out in spatulas to give to you. We also have a hair oil. You will use a scalp massager. We do have scalp massagers. And you will use either the hooded dryer or you can use a hood bonnet. These are kept up with us. It is a hood bonnet. You plug it in and you place the bonnet on the guest head. You're also gonna need a plastic cap. So we have plastic caps. If you're using the hood dryer, you're gonna put the plastic cap on. If you're using the bonnet, you're gonna put the plastic cap on and then put the hood bonnet on top of the plastic cap, okay? Does anybody have any questions so far on what we need? Okay. So, as you can see, I wrote all the steps down for you because there are a lot of steps. So you're gonna keep these with your demonstration paper so that you have them. It will go in your white binder. Every time you do a service, the first thing you do is sanitize your hands, correct? Why do we do that?
Because we always like touch things. Sometimes we put our fingers in our mouth.
Yes, bacteria, sanitation. You're gonna make sure that your station is set up and ready to go. So you're gonna have all of these items at your station before you put your guest at the station. Why do we not set our guest and then grab everything?
So your guests won't be waiting.
Your guests won't be waiting and your guests are gonna think that you're unprepared. So you wanna make sure you have organization in your station. You wanna make sure your station is clean. The first thing we're gonna do after we sanitize our hands is you're gonna drape your client. So we are gonna put our towel around our client. Then we're going to put our cape. Can we grab me a cape? The one student borrowed my cape this morning and didn't put another one up here for me. So you want to do your towel. You're going to put your cape over top. You want to make sure that you do not put it too tight, but you want to make sure that it's secure enough that it will stay on your guest. So I have my towel. Now remember, your scalp treatments are going to be done on a live model. These are not going to be done on mannequins. You can practice on your mannequins, but you will not be using the scalp product on your mannequin. We can use conditioner or something else if you would like to practice that. So I have my client draped. I then put my second towel. You can either take your towel and make the 2 triangles and wrap it around your guest. And you want to make sure you clip it down a little bit to where it's not, when they lay back at the sink, it's not hurting them and it's not digging into their neck. So you want to make sure you have that a little loose down at the bottom. The next thing you're going to do is we are going to take our standard comb. So our standard comb, and we're going to divide the hair into 4 sections. Does anybody know where we should divide the hair? We should go directly behind the ear. We want to make sure that it's a nice, clean parting. We don't want to have a messy parting. And you want to clip the hair out of the way. You always want to maintain control of your client's hair because it helps ensure a safe and an efficient service. So all that hair is going to be completely clipped out of the way. And we'll work section by section. Sometimes you'll hear somebody say 4 quadrants. These are the 4 quadrants, okay, or 4 sections. So if you hear the word quadrant, that's what that means. You're gonna start right down the middle. And as you're parting the hair, you're kind of lifting the hair up and you're combing the area. What am I looking for on my guest? Put your hand up. We gotta let other people answer, I'm sorry. Can you raise your hands to answer the question so everybody gets a chance? Can anybody else answer? Go ahead, Kerrigan. Well, you're always going to check for lice because you want to make sure that the clients, scalps are able to do a service. You want to check for any abrasions. You want to check for any open sores, open cuts, scabs, anything that would stop you from being able to complete the service. You don't want to open up the hair and be like, oh, you don't ever want to make your guests feel like there's something wrong with them. You just step away, grab your manager. Here you would grab your instructor, and we can go over and explain to the client that unfortunately they need to see their PCP. We cannot continue with the service. In any way, shape, or form do we diagnose or try to diagnose anything. We are not nurses, we are not doctors, we are not legally able to diagnose anything, including lice, okay? So, we're gonna check to see if somebody has excessive oil in their hair. That means if somebody hasn't washed their hair in a couple days, it's oily. You can tell if it's oily. You can say, how often do you wash your hair? This is where you start to do your consultation with your guest. You're looking through their hair. I can see that they have a very clean scalp. I have no issues with moving forward with the procedure. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our sections one by one, okay? Starting at the bottom and working our way up. You're gonna take 1/4 inch sections, and you're just going to make sure that you're brushing that hair. The reason we do that is to stimulate the scalp and also to detangle any of sections of the hair. So sometimes, like underneath the nape of the neck, some people will get a lot of tangled spots back here. We wanna make sure that we're making everything free from tangles. Once we do this section and we take our sections and we brush from scalp to end, we take our next section, scalp to ends, and we go scalp to ends, okay? You are then gonna take your standard comb and you're gonna go back in with 1/4 inch partings, and you're going to scale the scalp. Okay, when I say scale, we are not going to dig into our client's scalp. We do not want to hurt our guest. We want to be nice. We want to be gentle. So you're going to start at the bottom again, using your clip for control. You're then going to take your end of your comb, the shorter teeth, and you're just going to kind of scratch lightly. And then you're going to bring it down to the end. So you're going to scratch lightly, bring it down. I hate using the word scratch because we don't want to scratch the scalp. So we scale it. We're just going to kind of like back and forth. I'm going to show you with the back of my hand with the back of the comb. So this is your scalp. You're going to take your comb and you're just going to go back and forth. Kind of like you're just itching a little bit. You don't want to dig in. You just want to get enough pressure to where you're removing any product buildup, any excess oil, any dry skin that's on the scalp. You're just going to remove that. So you're going to continue to follow this up with 1/4 inch partings the whole way up. So you're going to take your clip up, your next section, you're just going to scale and comb through. Scale and comb through. So you're scaling the scalp and then bringing that comb down to the ends. You will have some product buildup. You will have some dry skin. That's okay. That's the whole point of doing a scalp treatment, is to cleanse the scalp. Okay, so again, just taking your section and just scaling very lightly and then combing it down through the ends. You're going to continue this throughout the entire head. So you're just going to scale it and comb down. Scale it and comb down. Take your next section, drop it down, clip that hair up for control. You're going to scale that area and then you're going to comb it through. So scale, comb through, scale, comb through. This whole way, okay? As soon as we do that part, we are then going to apply the product. I'm going to scale this area so that you guys can see, so that we could do one quadrant. Now I'm only doing one quadrant so that we have time to perform this. However, I'm going to show you step by step. So I want to take it the whole way up. In that section, I'm coming down. So I have this whole section done. You want to make sure you go down at the bottom of the neck. Make sure your partings you have scaled. So you've scaled this whole area. Now what you're going to do is you're going to apply the product. So again, you're going to take your product. You're going to clip the hair out of the way. There's a lot of clipping for control. You're going to take your product out of the container. Using a spatula, we will give you a certain amount to put onto a piece of foil, and then you'll take it from your foil and you'll apply it. You can do it with a brush, like a color brush. Can you grab me a color brush? We can put it in a bowl and brush, or you can do it on a piece of foil. So when you do the brush, you're gonna take the product, and I'm just gonna mimic it because we're not using this product on a mannequin, but you're gonna have your product and you're gonna go in with that product and you're gonna put it on the scalp. So you're just gonna brush that up into the scalp area. You're gonna leave it off of the mid shaft and the ends. You're just gonna focus on your scalp area. You're gonna drop your neck section down and you're gonna apply that product on the scalp area. And you're just gonna follow that pattern the whole way through. Making sure that your scalp area is completely saturated with that product. So then once the product is in, you have all your sections covered throughout the entire head. All of your hair should be down and you should have that product on just your scalp. So it should be out at most the width of your brush. You don't want all that product covering all the hair. You don't want it out an inch thick. You just basically want it to where it's gonna touch that scalp. Then you're going to take your massager. These are really nice. We have a bunch of them. We also have the comb rakes that we can use, or you can just massage with your fingertips around the head, okay? There are 3 types of massages that we're gonna use, and then you can finish with the 4th. So effleurage is how you pronounce the first one, and it's circular, very light circular motions. Okay, I do have it printed on the paper and spelled correctly for you so that you don't have to worry about spelling them. Your petrissage is your kneading, so you're gonna gently knead the movements. This increases circulation. We have friction, which is small circular movements, okay? This is a deeper, so your friction, you're applying friction, but you're not hurting your guest. And you're going in a circular motion using your 2 fingers, using either your middle finger and your ring finger, and you're going to apply small circular motions. And then your tapotement is when you just feather lightly and you feather off. If you're using the massager, you're just going to go in a nice circular motion, okay, around the scalp. You want to make sure that you're massaging that product into the scalp. The whole thing is to end up with a healthy scalp, and it's very clean at the end. So you're going to massage that whole area. You will then put this on the cart where we do the spray barbicide, and you're going to make sure that you barbicide this to make sure it's sanitary and disinfected. Once this is in, you're going to put your cap on. Once you put your cap on, you will then either use the hood dryer or the hot bonnet, and you will process for 10 to 15 minutes under heat. That helps open your cuticle, it helps moisturize the scalp, and it helps moisturize the root of your hair area. The next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take your client over to the sink. You are going to gently shampoo your guest. You can shampoo once or twice depending on your guest preference. If they have fine hair, you wanna make sure that you shampoo enough to get all of that product out. I always recommend shampooing twice to make sure that all that product is out. You want to get in there and do your massage manipulations when you're shampooing to make sure there's no product left in the hair. The next thing you're gonna do is you're going to wring the hair out from the scalp area and just wring the hair in the sink before you apply the conditioner. When you apply the conditioner, you are then going to rinse out with cooler water so that you're closing that hair cuticle down and you're closing those hair follicles down. We opened them up with the heat. Now we want to close it back down. And then you will towel dry and you'll comb out the hair. After your service, you are going to sanitize your hands, clean and disinfect your station, and also you can record the service in the shampoo, the work log book that we have. So there's a lot of steps to this. That's why everything is written down for you, step by step, broken down as far as we can. Does anybody have any questions on how to do this scalp treatment? Everybody feel like they got it? Make sure you keep your demo paper and also your scalp treatment instructions in a plastic sleeve in your white binder so that you can refer back to it throughout the school year. Okay, this is to be done on a live model. This is not to be done on your mannequin. Okay, you guys are due on Friday, December 12th. Got it? Kiski, you guys will be due Thursday because you're not here on Friday. So you guys will be due on Thursday by end of school day. Right? She is. I was looking at everybody. So when is Burl and Valley due? Friday. Friday. They are due. Burl and Valley are due on Friday. Kiski is due on Thursday. Very good. Any questions? Okay. You have just learned how to do a scalp treatment. You're the first level 1 at NWCTC to learn how to do scalp treatment.